This map displays the immense scale of the Mauryan Empire in the 3rd century BCE. Stretching from Afghanistan to Bangladesh, it covered 5 million square kilometers. At the center sat Pataliputra, a highly charged political arena where ambitious heirs and queens competed for imperial favor. Operating within this competitive environment was Prince Ashoka. Long before he became Ashoka the Great, he proved his worth as a highly capable military commander, suppressing revolts and governing outer provinces. Yet, despite his clear brilliance, he was not Bindusara's preferred heir. Also living in the palace was Tissyaraksha. She was a junior queen in Bindusara's harem, which meant she held royal status, but she lacked a prominent bloodline. Crucially, she was not Ashoka's biological mother. When you place absolute power next to the rigid hierarchical structure of an ancient Indian royal harem, you get a highly volatile ecosystem. Personal ambitions and rivalries brewing in the background had the potential to destabilize the entire empire. According to Buddhist textual traditions, Tissyaraksha developed a deep passion for her stepson. She became infatuated with Ashoka's physical presence and commanding character, crossing strict lines of familial propriety and social law. Rather than keeping these feelings hidden, she communicated this forbidden desire directly to the young prince. Ashoka refused her advances. He enforced a strict moral and political boundary, rejecting her proposition entirely and leaving no room for negotiation. This rejection triggered a shift. Humiliated by the prince, her unfulfilled desire morphed into a focused hatred. The text described this as the moment her longing transformed into a calculated vendetta. She was now a spurned woman trapped in the very palace Ashoka would soon control. She quietly waited for an opportunity to strike back. Following Bindusara's death, a brutal succession struggle erupted. Ashoka eliminated his brothers to claim the throne, aggressively expanding his control and stamping his authority across the realm. Years into his reign, Ashoka suffered a severe emotional blow. His beloved first queen, Asandimita, a woman renowned for her piety and virtue, passed away, leaving the emperor completely grief-stricken. In his vulnerable state, Ashoka made a consequential decision. He elevated Tissyaraksha to the position of Agra Mahishi, making her his chief queen. With this new title came immense administrative power. Tissyaraksha gained access to the royal treasury and the imperial seal. Meanwhile, Ashoka was increasingly absorbed in his new Buddhist faith, spending his days away from the daily operations of the court. As Ashoka retreated into meditation and prayer, he left the daily levers of the Mauryan state unattended. In his absence, Tissyaraksha began exercising the sovereign authority he no longer bothered to monitor. Tissyaraksha moved quickly to abuse her new authority. She began issuing royal decrees without the emperor's knowledge, eventually forging an edict that ordered the blinding of Ashoka's beloved son, Prince Kunala, while he was serving as a viceroy in Taxila. She then turned her attention to the ultimate object of her jealousy, the sacred Bodhi tree at Bodh Gaya, the exact location where Siddhartha Gautama attained enlightenment. To Tissyaraksha, this tree was a direct rival. Ashoka regularly sent envoys to tend to it and spent entire days weeping and meditating at its roots, leaving his chief queen feeling utterly displaced by a plant. She decided to eliminate the competition. Using a combination of bribes and poison, she systematically killed the roots of the sacred fig tree, causing it to wither. When Ashoka discovered the decaying branches, he completely collapsed. He threw himself to the ground, inconsolable over the destruction of his most revered spiritual symbol. By destroying the Bodhi tree and targeting his family, Tissyaraksha executed a precise psychological strike. She aimed directly at the pillars of Ashoka's identity, attempting to dismantle his life from the inside out. But her victory was brief. Desperate to save the sacred site, Ashoka performed elaborate rituals, bathing the roots with thousands of pots of milk. According to the texts, the tree recovered and began to sprout new leaves. Soon after, Tissyaraksha's web of deception unraveled. Palace officials uncovered her forged decrees and exposed her role in poisoning the Bodhi tree. Ashoka stripped Tissyaraksha of her title as chief queen and permanently removed her from the imperial household. Depending on the source, she was either forced into lifelong exile or executed for her crimes. the immense authority she had gathered proved fragile. The moment her crimes were brought to light, her power vanished entirely. As historians evaluate this narrative, they note a major caveat. The primary sources detailing these events, like the Ashoka are hagiographies composed hundreds of years after Ashoka's actual reign. Furthermore, despite Ashoka leaving behind an extraordinary number of rock and pillar edicts detailing his rule, not a single one mentions Tissyaraksha by name or references any of her alleged crimes. Scholars point out that her tale closely mirrors the Potiphar's wife motif, a widely documented archetype found in Greek tragedy, Persian epics, and biblical texts, where a rejected woman seeks revenge against a younger man. Within the Buddhist textual tradition, she serves a specific theological function. She is the living embodiment of tanha, or unwholesome craving, acting as the dark, destructive shadow to Ashoka's path toward enlightenment. Whether history or myth, Tissyaraksha remains a fixture of the Ashokan legend. She serves as a counterweight to his religious transformation, illustrating how desire and power, when left unguided, can dismantle even the most